my presentation is mainly geared towards students who want to start their diploma program. Who are looking at doing their bachelor degree at Edith Cowan University, but have not met entry. So any student who's got a B and below, they can start through the college. Any student who wants to do, again, a bachelor degree and would like to commence in October. So this presentation is more for you. So I'll just quickly share my screen and get going. So I'm hoping that you are all able to see that. I'm also probably gonna just switch on my video so that at least you guys can have visibility. It's quite dark because it's getting dark already in Perth. We are in winter, and usually in winter by 5:30, it starts getting dark. And I'll just quickly start the presentation. So what we are telling you at Edith Cowan College is find your place at Edith Cowan College, because we are here to give you support to help you achieve your dream at Edith Cowan University. Why would you go to Edith Cowan University? I'm not gonna go so much into that because I'm sure Wilson and Brian will have so much to say about that. The one thing that we pride ourselves in is the student support that we give to international students, and not only to international students, even local Australian students. So if you're looking for a university or an institution where you're not just considered a number, you'd be thinking about coming through to Edith Cowan University. We are also a leader in cybersecurity. I'm not gonna play this video, which is a bit about to play, because as I said today, I have my colleagues from the university and they'll be able to talk about it. So how does it work? So we have any student who has completed KCSE, and if you have C- and below, you come through diploma year 1. If you have a C plane and above, you can come through diploma year 2, which leads into second year of Edith Cowan University. So you'd look at the year 1, which is more like a foundation program, and then go into year 2, and then into second year of Edith Cowan University. So how do we prepare students at the college? We prepare you for success. And at the university, we have the university style teaching. So I'm sorry, at the college. So it's more like a bridge between high school and the university, where we have smaller classes, more personalized attention, more pastoral care. Before now you go into the university, which is big, with big lecture halls and everything. We also have 3 flexible intakes, which is February, June, and October. Most of you, of course, now you've missed February and you've just missed June. We are in the 3rd week of the June trimester. The next intake will be in October. And if you miss October, of course, we have February as well. The courses that we do offer Diploma of Commerce. And as you can see, we offer diplomas leading to degrees. That is the difference between our diploma program with probably, I don't know, some other diploma programs that you know. We are based on the university campus, and the diplomas that we offer leading to second year of Edith Cowan University. So what does that mean? That you're gonna be taught first year Edith Cowan University units, but with more support. You're gonna have access to the facilities and libraries and everything at the university. So if you have a friend who's doing master's or bachelor degree at Edith Cowan University and you're doing your diploma at Edith Cowan College, you guys will still be able to meet for lunch because we are on the same campus. So we also have Diploma of Communications and Creative Industries, which leads into those courses at Edith Cowan University. Diploma of Hotel Management, Diploma of Science, Computing and IT, which of course leads into a cybersecurity course. Just recently in Australia, they have requested, the federal government has requested for 500 cybersecurity experts because right now there's, I don't know, some war with China, cyber war with China. And so the government is sort of preparing and wanting 500 cybersecurity experts. That just means that there's job readily available for the cybersecurity graduates. So cybersecurity is a big deal right now, not only in Australia, but in the world. Even in Kenya, you guys must hear about bank fraud and all that all the time. So this is a course that is highly sought after, and Edith Cowan University is a leader in cybersecurity. We also have a popular course, Diploma of Science Engineering Studies. This is a course that Edith Cowan University is also proud of. According to the Times Higher Education, it's in the top 150 in the world. So that is something that students really enjoy. And we do have the Bachelor of Engineering Honors, which is 4 years. So you do the first year at Edith Cowan University and then into 3 years at ECU. And then we also have the Diploma of Science, Health Studies, which leads into biomedical science, exercise and sports science, nursing, and psychology. Again, our nursing program, it's in the top 150 programs in the world for nursing, and the sports program is in the top 100. I'm not gonna go much into PQP because most of the Kenyan graduates do meet direct entry into Edith Cowan University. So I'm gonna leave this right there. So how do you meet entry? I already talked about entry, C minus and below, E and above you go into diploma year 2. In terms of the entry requirements, English requirements, we require an IELTS or PTE. So here we've stated IELTS, but please note we also do accept PTE equivalent, and with the PTE, with the IELTS, and if you're doing PTE, you need an equivalent, so you require 5.5 with no band below 5.0 to come into diploma, just the standard diploma. But if you're coming into nursing, you require 6.5 with no band below 6.0. I'll show you this video. As with everyone in the world, Edith Cowan College has also had to move its classrooms virtually. As you all know, right now we cannot travel. I'll talk a bit about our virtual course, but before I do that, I'll quickly show you this video to just sort of give you an experience of what our students onshore, are experiencing, and our lecturers as well.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, I didn't know. I have unmuted, imagine.
Okay, so sorry, towards the end, someone just texted me and told me that there's no sound. There wasn't any sound. I'm so sorry about that. This is something that I can still share with all students who've attended this session, and I can send it to them. Okay, so next. Okay, so in that particular video, sorry, there's no sound, but we were really talking about the experience of students and what it is to study online. Because for now, that is our world. And instead of waiting up until you're able to join us face-to-face, I would encourage students to start with us so as to stay online, stay on track. So 9 reasons to choose virtual studies at Edith Cowan College. It helps you stay on track. Don't delay your future. Because of COVID, you can start with us virtually and join us. Of course, the one of the things that we have done is we have adjusted our timetable to ensure that if you're studying with us from Kenya, you do not start at 4:30 in the morning. You will actually be starting your classes at 7 a.m. in the morning. So our first class is at midday, which is around about 7 a.m. in the morning. You're able to stay connected with your friends, Kenyan friends who are studying virtually as well. And even there are some friends, like now we have a student who's made friends with from Zimbabwe, who's made friends with a student in Malawi because they're in the same class and they're constantly touching base in terms of the lectures. It's a convenient way to study. You will still be able to, in terms of flexibility, you'll still be able to, for example, if you started your course virtually with us in June or maybe October, though we are hoping that by October borders will be open, but let's assume if you started with us in October and then borders got opened in November, it doesn't mean that you have to wait until February to join us. As long as you have a visa and everything is ready, you're able to just pack up and come back and continue with us at Edith Cowan College. The other advantage that we have at Edith Cowan College is for any student who joins us, who starts with us virtually for some reason. Let's assume if October people are still not traveling, we will be able to give you a letter which you'll be able to present to the immigration department stating that you're currently enrolled at Edith Cowan College. And this is going to ensure, this hopefully is going to strengthen your GTE. So I'm gonna leave it at that and pass it on to my colleagues. As I said, I'm more than happy to share this presentation. I'm more than happy to share with you the video that I've shown in this so that you view it again and listen to it at your own time. Thank you. So I'll stop sharing.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Irene. So my name is Wilson Siska, and I'm the International Account Manager or Regional Manager for Sub-Saharan Africa here at Edith Cowan University. And also, I look after Sub-Saharan Africa. I look after a place called Bhutan, and I look after a place called Sri Lanka and Nepal as well. I work very closely with my colleague Brian, who is based in Nairobi in Kenya and looks after Edith Cowan College, those inquiries, those recruitment inquiries, student inquiries, agent inquiries, but also has recently joined us here at Edith Cowan University, and it works very closely with myself. And I just wanted to kick off with just a short video, and if you can't hear it, again, someone please text me or something, and then I can just easily stop it and then pick it up next. Okay, so again, I guess the video that didn't have sound there is, if you could recognize the actor in there, his name is Hugh Jackman, and if you read comic books or you watch, if you watch X-Men, you will recognize him as Wolverine. So Hugh Jackman is a graduate of ECU, so he went to one of our schools called WAPA, which is the Western Australia Academy for Performing Arts. He's one of our most successful alumni at the university. In this session today, you have, and I'll switch my video on so you can see me. In this session today, we have Brian Ogola, who is also a graduate from ECU. Irene herself is an alumni of ECU, a graduate of ECU. And myself, I'm also a graduate from ECU. So we're 3 ECU alumni that have studied in various, I think what's common is that we're all from the School of Business and Law. And we're using this ECU degree actually to work internationally. So we've taken our qualifications, our learnings, we're from the African continent, and this degree or master's or PhD have taken us to so many places around the world, which is reinforcing the statement that this qualification is actually international. So you're not just going to be using it in Australia, but you can use it in all parts of the world. I'll tap into rankings. So Different universities use different rankings. So what you can tell here is that ECU uses the Times Higher Education, which a few other universities use as well. We're a very young university, less than 30 years old. Although some of our schools, which now make up ECU, like the School of Education, have been around for a large number of years. So if you're familiar with PERTH, and if you've ever heard of a university called University of Western Australia, which is part of the G8 University, that used to be the ECU campus. And that was obviously sold off, and UWA now calls that their campus. So that's been around for over 100 years. Now, obviously, building off what Irene has talked about, if you're a pathway student starting from ECU, you will continue your studies at ECC. You can continue studies at ECU. Guaranteed that you complete your diploma or the requirements to go straight into the second year. And again, that's another thing. Myself, I went to Perth Institute of Business and Technology, and that was is now called ECC. And I graduated from there, and graduated from ECU as well. I'm originally from Zambia, so it is a valuable journey. It's worthwhile journey in your life. If you can't come straight into the university, of course, there's that opportunity to come to ECC. Now, semester 2, we're online if you're offshore, and there's generous scholarships that are being offered up to about 30%. Now, you may ask, how do I still get my post-study work rights? Of course you do. You can choose to do 1 unit online next semester. Applications are still open. You can still accept your offers. Classes commence on the 27th of July, and there's an opportunity for you to do so. In just a summary with online, some of the areas is arts and humanities, and you can see there's 30% scholarship. If you're doing Bachelor of Media and Communication, again, there's a 30% scholarship, and you can tap into all those areas. So these are the schools at ECU: arts and humanities, business and law, engineering, medical and health sciences, nursing and midwifery, which is quite popular in Kenya, science, and as anybody should never lie to you, ECU is the #1 university for cybersecurity, and with one of only 2 universities in Australia that have been selected and funded by the federal government as a center of research excellence at the university. And we've had quite a fair number of Kenyans that have come through this program. In fact, if you ask some of our academics, we don't even compare in Australia, we compare in the world. And in the world, we compare in the top 5. And if you want further testament to this, if you've heard of Interpol, International Police, there's only 5 people that sit on the advisory board, and 2 of those advisors for the global Interpol ECU professors. So cybersecurity, very strong. Nursing and midwifery, very, very strong. Medical and health sciences, we've been getting a lot of inquiries into the Masters of Public Health, very strong at ECU. And also recently, we've been getting a lot of inquiries into paramedical science. And it offers the same benefits as you would go into the nursing program, because it does lead to registration in Australia, so very strong. Business and law, what better testament? The 3 people that you're going to be speaking to today, me, myself, Irene, and Brian, alumni, testaments that this degree actually is worth quite a fair bit. Arts and humanities, we've got a young man called Alfred Koich, who's from Eldoret in Kenya. He's an athlete, but he's graduated from this school, doing some amazing things in this space. If you get a chance, and if the interstate or interprovincial borders open and you're flying to Eldoret, you will find him on the banner there. If you're downtown in Eldoret, you'll see him on the billboard as well, doing some amazing things and helping quite a large number of people in that space. And obviously, cybersecurity sits in our School of Science. Engineering, one in Australia, young engineering school, outstanding facilities, flagship programs like the Bachelor's of Motorsport Engineering, which you can gain access to work in the mining sector. Again, online scholarship, 30% if you start in next semester. Please do inquire with UNICEF. You can get in touch with Brian as well and pick up your information from there. You can do 1 unit, and you've got up to week 4 if you want to withdraw from the program. Your fees are going to be transferred to the following semester, when we are actually hoping that the borders will open and you can continue from ECU. Now, is online popular? Is it the same? Those are the questions that your parents may be asking, that your agents may be asking, and you yourselves may be asking. Absolutely, the quality of education remains the same. Time difference, well, classes are recorded after they're delivered, so you can watch it later. If you want to revise your course content, you can watch that later. What are we doing for you in this space? Well, you can actually get in touch with us and we can link you up with an academic, whether it's a school of business, whether it's a school of engineering, and you can speak to them directly and they can show you the platform that's being used. I myself am an online student at the moment, and no difference. You're in a live classroom, but of course, if I can't attend that class, I then will be able to see pre-recorded classes, do my assignment, do my group assignments, like I would be if I was a normal student. And of course, there's a generous scholarship for 30%. Now, in terms of entry, if you're coming in from Kenya and you're going into a bachelor program, a master's program, if you've graduated from a Kenyan university and that program was delivered in English, so medium of instruction was English, you can apply directly into a master's program at ECU and you will get an offer, academic offer, or you meet academic English requirements into that particular program. So another key advantage if you're studying from Kenya or from most African universities is that we do recognize that most of them are delivered in English. So to meet academic entry, and I don't think a lot of universities do this in Australia, there is that advantage. The catch, although, is that when you're now down the track applying for your visa, you still need to do your IELTS to satisfy the Department of Home Affairs English requirements. But if in case if you want to start your online studies, or you just want to get your offer letter, we do accept those particular degree programs. Of course, the degree has to be comparable, which means that if it's a bachelor in Kenya, it should also mean that it's a bachelor in Australia, and you would satisfy English requirements. Now, in this climate, of course, you can do IBT as well if you're an undergraduate student and you haven't done anything like London A-levels. You can do what we call TOEFL IBT home edition from the comfort of your own home. Just make sure that you've got a proper internet connection, and that could meet academic entry into your bachelor program. This is for our July intake, and this I think is coming to an end around September. If you're going through ECU, of course, they do accept Duolingo and IELTS indicator, but like I said, the advantage is that already, if you've got a bachelor's from Kenya, you can meet those requirements. So just a recap for ECU Online. We commence in July, 27th of July, 2020. The opportunity is that you get 2 offer letters, one for your July intake and another one for your Feb intake. They're same in duration. However, of course, once you graduate once you do your semester intake online, you will get an exemption into your offer letter for the Feb intake. Of course, there's no GTE at the moment for online, but of course you have to meet what we call genuine temporary entry requirements for your Feb intake as the borders begin to open. PERTH is looking promising at the moment, but obviously we have to wait for official confirmation from the government about what direction what they're going to take. So of course you can travel to PERTH, continue with your studies in semester 1. You still have access to your post-study work rights if you do 1 unit, if you're a postgraduate student. However, if you're undergraduate, of course, your degree usually is 3 years and you can do maybe 1 or 2 units or subjects online, and then you've got enough actually balanced to actually do further studies and still get your post-study work rights when you get to PERTH. And we have obviously scholarships that are available, 30% for online July. But of course, if you're coming in from Kenya, in our select master's program, you will get a 20% for the 1-year duration at your own show. And also for undergraduate, if you meet higher entry, you get 20% full duration for your degrees. Now, why is ECU very popular? 1, we're no strangers to the African continent. And 2, we used to have a campus in Kenya, and that was in Nairobi, and we had 1 in Zambia, and then we've still got 1 that now is turning to ECU Sri Lanka in Colombo. So we're no strangers to the African continent. We do understand the needs of students from Africa. And right now, I think as of last year, what was happening is that each university has got what we call different risk ratings, and each country has got different risk ratings. So some universities don't ask for a lot of evidence when you do apply. However, one of the key things I want to remind you is that financials are part and parcel of the visa process. So just because a university has come to you and said, we don't need to see your financials, I think with immigration, they do at any time can request that you provide financial capacity. Why is this important for an international student? And I'm talking about 2021 right now. It is important because you need to know, and your parents need to know, and your sponsors need to know that you can actually have adequate funds, at least for the first year that you're here, to support your school fees. Very important. And you don't want to reach here and you've been told, oh, you don't need to show financial capacity, and just struggling to pay your fees when you get here. So it is important that either through savings, or if you're going to get an educational loan, to at least have adequate funds when you do get on shore next year, and that you would adequate to support yourself while you're here. So very important, especially for African students. We want you to succeed. You shouldn't have that pressure as an international student, at least for the first year while you're here, and important that it sees you through your studies as well. So with different ranking systems, and I'll go through this, and I can send a copy of this. But one of the key things I wanted to point out is that ECU is a top undergraduate teaching quality ranking for all public universities in Australia. What does this mean? We are number one, the number one public university for student satisfaction, which means that our academics, which earlier this year, myself, Irene, and a group of about 6 to 7 academics traveled across Africa. We were in Uganda, we were in Tanzania, we were in Zambia, we were in Zimbabwe. Most importantly, we were in Kenya as well. And one of the few universities that travels with a large number of academics, so you can get that one-on-one time with sessions with those academics. But we're doing this as well right now, virtually, if you're inquiring about online studies in July, because we do understand that most of our programs speak to the needs of international students. We have an open door policy for all our students to speak to an academic anytime if they're having any course issues. Good Universities Guide as well, 5-star rating, 13 years in a row. No university can boast this in Australia, but again, reinstating teaching quality, student support, overall experience of our student, and full-time employment outcomes after you graduate. So why ECU? Of course, you learn from the best. The degrees, like I reinstate, are internationally recognized. Most of our programs, 80% of our programs have got industry links. So you're actually graduating with a bit of work experience under your belt, which is very critical if you're an undergraduate student looking for that first job and you're being asked if you've got work experience, and we offer you that opportunity at ECU. Applied learning, a supporting learning environment, and of course, to top it all up, outstanding facilities. We have a few campuses, so I don't know if you can hear this now.
No, we can't hear.
Okay. I'll just let it finish and then we'll keep a bit. What this is just basically saying is that ECU is the bridge to the world. And if you look at the top there, we say world ready. So we produce graduates that leave the university and are world ready. And you can ask anybody, if you've got friends in Perth that are from Kenya, that graduated from ECU and are living and working in Australia, you'll find that most of them have found full-time employment, and they've used their qualifications to do that. When I came here almost 18 years ago now, the biggest population of students here were from Kenya. So why is this important? This is important because most of those Kenyan graduates are now big bosses and have got very influential roles in various companies across Perth. So again, a key testament that Australia does really stick to what we call their fair go. I'll just blitz through this. We've got work integrated learning, which is what I've spoken about, 80% of our programs. And I would encourage you to ask any application or any university that you're considering whether they do have work integrated learning in their programs. In fact, at ECU, if you're coming into engineering, you cannot graduate until you've actually satisfied 12-week practicum, which is work experience. And we do choose that for you, or you can choose yourself and we help you get into those particular work placements. 3 campuses. You'll hear of Joondalup campus, which is 29 minutes away from the city. Our Mount Lawley campus is where Hugh Jackman potentially graduated from, which is our media and arts campus, where WAPA is actually situated. And the young man that I spoke about, Alfred Koich, actually completed his bachelor program. His bachelor program was offered in Bunbury, which was a Bachelor of Social Work that he completed, which is a 2-hour drive from the main Perth CBD. What are some of the advantages of Perth? And I think I might just quickly conclude here. One of the key things that I want to let you know is that if you're considering any other city, now listen, I've been to every city, almost every major capital city in Australia, and they're beautiful cities. Don't get me wrong. I've seen most universities in Australia, and they're very good universities. I think some of the top in the world. But if you're advantages as an international student, you're paying top dollar and you want to get top service. So one of the key things, if you're coming into a master's by coursework, a master's by research, or into a PhD program, and you've got dependents, but you're coming with children, that is, and a missus or a husband, what happens in Perth is that those children can actually, from the age of 6 and I think up to about 16, which is the graduating age, can go to a public school free of charge in Perth. Now, some cities have got different versions of this, but Perth has got a holistic one. So you can actually go and actually attend school. And I've seen students transferring from other cities, master's students coming to graduate from Perth because they've come with their kids and they actually save quite a fair bit of money, which means they can concentrate on their studies, and those kids go to school, public schools for free. And these are very good schools, top schools in Perth. As an international student, you get a 40% discount on transport, which is the same incentive that is given to a domestic Australian student. 24/7 Wi-Fi connection. If you're on campus, you're saving actually top dollar on actually your internet connections. And just skipping through, beautiful weather, most days of sunshine across Australia. If you're coming in from Nairobi, Eldoret, Nanyuki, or any other cities in Nairobi, you will appreciate the climate in Perth. And obviously we record the most days of sunshine, which means you can enjoy those outdoor activities, festivals, going to the beach and exercising outdoors, whichever way you see that fits your lifestyle, Perth can offer this all. Now, accommodation as of next year will be offering very attractive accommodation scholarships. So don't be afraid if you do not have a friend or relative in Perth. There is accommodation available and scholarships are going to be available for 2021. So not only are you saving money if you start online in July, you actually have a further incentive for you when you get on shore. You have a further incentive in a scholarship if you are eligible for it. And also we have what we call an early acceptance bursary, which means on top of your 30% scholarship for online, on top of your 20% for 1 year if you're doing a master's, or 20% for full duration if you're doing an undergraduate, and if you meet those requirements. There's also an accommodation incentive that is also offered, but also what we call an early acceptance bursary, which is now starting at $2,000, which goes towards your second semester fees. I would like you to compare different universities across Australia, and you'll find that for the value that you're getting and the quality of education, we come second to nobody when offering value for education for our international students. Study areas, arts and humanities, I've spoken about this. We're in media, we're in political studies, we're in things like Masters of Communication, professional design, screen studies. In the humanities side, we're talking about social work, counseling, we're talking about psychology. These are courses that are on demand, not just in Perth, but across Australia. If you're doing you can do a Masters of Psychology, Counseling and Psychotherapy, a Master of Social Sciences. These are some of the companies where you could actually do your work experience. So imagine yourself there, you're doing media studies and you get to work from one of the top television top television networks across Australia and get your work experience done from there. Opens up quite a large number of doors. Those of you that are looking at finance or accounting, that keyboard that you see there, that this is a young man that actually worked in my office. Aaron is from South Africa, and he's gone on to do big things. But the key thing that actually equipped him was that keyboard that you see there is what we call a Bloomberg keyboard, which is used in the stock exchange and financial exchange and banks and all those type of areas. So you get to practice with on real facilities, in real facilities. And these are the things that actually industry uses as well. So when you're walking out, remember the video said world ready. You're walking out of these programs with you, and you're already job ready. Of course, business is very popular in Kenya. We've got double majors. So if you do, let's say, marketing, you want to double major with management. So it means that when you graduate, you can actually play in two areas. If you don't find a job in management, you can go for marketing. So it just broadens your horizon. You still graduate in the same time frame. If you're into your sport, we now do sport recreation and event management. And sport, as you know, is big in Kenya, and sport is big in Australia as well. And our students get to tap in workplace learning in real huge sporting franchises across Australia. This is very popular. If you look at our master's program, they're all 2 years. What does this mean? It means that you can tap into your post-study work rights. There are lesser subjects as well than other universities. Instead of doing 16 subjects, you're doing 12 subjects, which is about 3 per semester. If you start online, you can do 1 unit next semester online, and then continue your balance, 11 units when you come to Perth, and you still get your post-study work rights from there. So we talk about business administration, finance and banking. We talk about marketing. We talk about professional accounting, project management. Big companies like Rio Tinto, which is a big mining company, Bankwest, which is a big bank, and you've got opportunities to do your work experience there. What about engineering? Well, like I said, fastest growing school in the whole of Australia. We understand international students. You can go into aviation, you can go into aeronautical and motorsport engineering. And we've got a wide range of specializations to choose from. You name it, petroleum engineering. We're talking about electronics and communications. But those same specializations are available in our Masters of Engineering. And again, we duplicate what we do in our undergraduate, mechanical mechatronics. Petroleum engineering is actually manufacturing, if you actually think about it. One of the key courses that's very popular now is instrumentation, control, and automation, which is what's leading the world of engineering right now. So again, an attractive proposition for international students. We're talking about Rio Tinto. We're talking about BHP Billiton. We're talking about Schneider Electric. And we're also talking about what we do in Dubai, just not that far away from Kenya. We've been in Dubai for over 15 years, delivering quality engineering programs with the Emirates Group. So ask anybody, if you're in Dubai, if you see the guys that do ground handling, that do customer service, these are all most likely trained by ECU, and we've been there for a very, very long time. If we're talking about medical and health sciences, some of the popular areas that are coming up now are health sciences and environmental. We're talking about nutrition. We're talking about pathways to medicine through biomedical sciences. But we're also talking about exercise and sports science. We're talking about paramedical sciences as well, which is becoming very popular. And we're getting a lot of inquiries out of Kenya, which leads to the same benefits that you would do if you're actually coming to do nursing. Of course, in masters, you can do nutrition and dietetics. You can do paramedical science, but one that is standing out more and more is our Masters of Public Health, which of course, as you may be aware, is going to become very, very popular and very sought after. Because of this COVID-19 situation that is happening, there'll be a global demand for health professionals post, during, and post-COVID-19. So something to actually think about. Again, most of these programs are 2 years, and you can tap into your post-study work rights after that. You're looking at working in places like Jamie Oliver. So Jamie's Ministry of Food, we've got a partnership with him. Perth Glory, which is our football team there. If you're doing sports sciences, nutrition, Australia, just to mention a few. Now, here's a popular one in Kenya, nursing and midwifery. So today we just had a presentation and we're talking about the Bachelor of Nursing, one that leads to registration. We're talking about the Master of Nursing, one called graduate entry, and this leads to registration. However, if you already have a diploma in Kenya with less than 5 years work experience and you don't have the IELTS, which is for the registration courses is 7.0. If you don't have those IELTS, you can actually get into the Bachelor of Nursing Studies, Y61, and you get 2 years exemption, which means you're coming to do your top up here from Australia, or you can reject the advanced standing, come and do 2 years, and you still get your post-study work rights after that. For the Master of Nursing, if you've graduated again from Kenya, and you've got a bachelor degree from a recognized Kenyan university, you will be able to come directly into the Master of Nursing. And today's presentation from our Director, International Home Nursing, we're talking about occupational-based assessment, which has been delayed because of COVID-19, but gives you the opportunity to get into that program with the standard IELTS entry, which is 6.5, no band less than 6.0. If you've got a bachelor program, you can get in directly with your bachelor program to meet English requirements. And there's going to be an opportunity to do OBA, which then leads to registration. However, there's still employment available for students from the ones that don't lead to registration. So there's still availability to get a good employment. We're talking about starting salary, $60,000. If you get a lot of work flowing, you can make up to about $140,000. So key thing to remember, that these programs are available. So it's not the end of the world if you don't meet your IELTS. If you do have IELTS and you've got 2 IELTS, you can combine those. If they meet 7.0, you can get directly into the registration courses here at ECU. 100% of our graduates do go into registration with the registration courses. So no wonder we're a popular choice for most Kenyan students, and you can speak to anybody that's come here, that's graduated from our School of Nursing. They're in successful employment within Australia, and there's no shortage. There is a shortage of nurses. There's no shortage of places to find employment when you graduate. Science, we spoke about cybersecurity, but I can touch on things like counterterrorism and security and intelligence. Of course, nobody beats us in the whole of Australia. Nobody beats us. So this is being recorded. You mark my words, we're the best in this field, and obviously also offer value for money in this particular space. But if you're more of an environmental type person, you want to look into biological sciences, marine and freshwater biology, great opportunities exist for you as well. It's not the end of the world. There are a wide range of programs that you can tap into, scholarships that you can tap into to get into that other side of science, which is sustainable development, sustainable business management. And don't just think that, oh, if I do sustainable management, I'm going to be working in an environmental company. Yes, you will. But these professions are also required in mining. And as you may be aware, Western Australia is a big mining state as well. Teacher education, of course, something again you can tap into. The IELTS are higher for this, but this course also leads to registration within Australia. So there are those incentives that are available for you there. Make a positive difference in someone else's life. And we get students from all over the world in this space. Of course, we do early childhood, primary, and secondary. But if you don't meet the IELTS, you also have an opportunity to do what we call a Master of Education Advanced, which is for 2 years. Hugh Jackman, the guy that I showed you, graduated from WAPA, which is one of the most prestigious schools within Australia, produce blockbuster actors that are working in Hollywood, that are working in different film industries. And Hugh Jackman, I think he's one of the biggest, but also not discounting a lot of them that have gone on to do big things and they're actually making a difference across the world. So you can do performing arts, you can do classical performance, music education, ECU. So I will stop there and maybe just give you a quick update. I apologize if I was speaking very quickly. It's 6 p.m. here. So one of the key things I want you to remember in my closing remarks, and my colleague Brian can take any questions because I'm about to dash out and pick up my children from school. One of the key things I want you to remember as of now: 1, quality education; 2, value for money; 3, don't look for the easy way into Australia, look for the right way into Australia. So satisfy all the requirements so that you don't have any surprises when you get here. 4, you can get in touch with us. We can put you in touch with academics. If you really want to compare different universities, and if you want to compare different universities, whether it's in the UK, whether it's in the US, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in Australia. And the key thing I want you to remember is that if I give you $90,000 today to go buy a vehicle of your choice, You're not going to walk out of your house and straight away pay for the first Mercedes-Benz that you see. You're going to go to different car yards. You're going to speak to different sales representatives to actually tell you what the benefits are and what are some of the incentives of the different vehicles that you're going to consider. The same applies to international education. Don't go for the first thing that is put in your mind, whether it's even ECU, compare. And for us, we're actually telling you with access to our academics, you can ask those intrinsic questions about that program so that you make an informed decision, because you're not paying for school fees, you're investing in your future. Your parents are investing in your future as well. So today we had a meeting with the program director for post-study work rights within Australia. So I want to give you just a quick update on what things have changed, and I'll stop there. So we've got 3 categories in Australia at the moment. So if you're choosing to go to Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane, that is considered non-regional, and they're in category 1. And if you do a bachelor program there, including honors, you only get 2 years of post-study work rights. If you do a master's by coursework, you only get 2 years of post-study work rights. If you do a master's by research, you get 3 years. If it's a PhD or doctorate degree, you get 4 years post-study work rights. Perth, where ECU Joondalup and Mount Lawley are located, and where the wide range of courses that you'll be coming to do, Perth, I just mentioned Perth. The difference is that if you do a bachelor program, including honors, you get 3 years post-study work rights. So 2 years, and you apply for an extension, which gives you 3 years. If you're doing a master's by coursework, remember Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, you're only getting 2 years. But for Perth, you're getting 3 years post-study work rights. If you're coming to do a master's by research, you're getting 4 years post-study work rights. And if you're coming to do a doctorate degree, you get 5 years of post-study work rights. Let me flip to category 3, where Bunbury, we don't have a lot of courses. We only have Bachelor of Social Work and a Bachelor of Nursing. For a bachelor degree there, you get 4 years of post-study work rights. If it's a master's by coursework, which we don't have there, unfortunately, you'd have been getting 4 years post-study work rights. And master's by research, 5 years post-study work rights. And a doctorate degree, 6 years post-study work rights. If you're a PhD student, for example, it means you're coming for a 4-year degree plus 5 years of post-study work rights in Perth. If you're coming with your children, guess what? You're here for almost 9 years. All right, and your kids can actually tap into that. So remember, when you're choosing your cities, ask about post-study work rights. When you're choosing your universities, ask about the different program areas and compare those to different universities. If you're looking at the easy way in, you might be arriving to a rude awakening when you get to Australia. But if you do the right thing from the beginning, you've got the financial capacity, you've got all the English, you've got all the right documents, you will be successful. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I have to love you and leave you, but hopefully look at your online options for next semester, and also consider your July intake. Applications are free. You can now start applying, and hopefully after this COVID-19, we'll see you at ECU. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks, Wilson. Do you guys have any questions? Please feel free to type it out. We have like 15 minutes to go. You can unmute yourself and ask any questions. I think that's possible, right?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. So you can click the little mic button to unmute yourself, or you'll find the chat box at the bottom of your screen. You can also type anything in there.
So you may want to ask a question directly to send it to everyone, or to Irene Mjomba, or to Brian Ogola.
Okay, let's do some frequently asked ones then. So one that we're getting a lot is, do students still need to start their visa application if they're planning to start online? What's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. If it's possible, the reason as to why there was somewhat a pause on visa was because some of the places like biometric centers and even, what was it, medical centers were shut for a while there due to the lockdowns. But still, if an application, if a visa application is ready, you can by all means submit it to the immigration department. They are still receiving applications. They never stopped. In terms of applying to the university as well, that and the college, that never stopped. In terms of accepting your offer, just going through the normal acceptance process, you ask UNICEF, that never stopped. So the only difference is that the visas may take a while because they're also monitoring the situation. But what I've been encouraging students is, if you're able to, if UNICEF believes that your visa documents are ready, by all means, you need to put in there so that you're the first one in the queue, because when, the borders open, everyone will be in a rush. So you don't want to be caught up in that rush. Someone has asked the question, hey, Irene, minimum module student can do online. I'm gonna, okay, so Maggie, I'm assuming it depends. If you're going to Edith Cowan University, Wilson has mentioned even up to 1 unit. Like, Bran, am I right for Edith Cowan University?
Yes, up to 1 unit.
Even, yeah, I mean, a minimum of 1 unit, of course. For Edith Cowan College, we have maintained what is called a full-time enrollment. Full-time enrollment is 3 units and above. So per trimester, students generally do 4 units, but during this COVID period, for students who are studying online, we are encouraging students to do 3 units. Again, for July at Edith Cowan University, we know for a fact that that's gonna be online. For October at Edith Cowan College, we are crossing fingers, but if it is still online, the advantage of doing 3 units at Edith Cowan College in October is because it will give you access to the Edith Cowan College enrollment scholarship, whatever you want to call it. So if you do 3 units in October this year, come February, you're gonna 3 or 4 units. Come February, you're gonna pay your tuition fees less 2,000 Australian dollars. So that is an initiative that was put in by the college because we do recognize the challenges around COVID-19. So another question, will starting online affect post-study work permit? As Wilson said, that is, so for the Edith Cowan College, not at all, because you start off at Edith Cowan College, you take around about 8 to 12 months at the college before going into second year of Edith Cowan University. So that in itself, it's gonna take you 2 years at the university. So, and you have to have been in Australia for 2 years, okay? So that's cool if you're doing undergraduate, whether you go directly to the university or come through the college. But if you're going in for your master's degree, because most master's courses are of course 2 years, right now we are not sure, we are waiting. There are rumors, in fact I heard on Australian news this morning that the government is planning to give international students access to post-study work right, regardless of how many modules or how many units you do back home via online. So that is something that we are watching very closely. Trust me, as soon as we get an announcement on that, you'll be the first one to know. So right now, as Wilson said, you're better off doing 1 or 2 units at Edith Cowan University if you're coming in for masters. That is from July to show your commitment. And then in February, you can come and continue online face-to-face. That way you'll still be able to get access to the post-study work right visa. Okay, and also you'll have the advantage of showing the immigration department that you're a strong, genuine temporary entrant because you're already taking some units online, whether it's 1 or 2 units. Angela K has asked me, What happens when, okay, so maybe I shouldn't mention and consider it privately, sorry. What happens when the visa is rejected? Can the student will continue with online studies? That's a very good question. Number one, as I mentioned before, the advantage of studying online, I personally believe that it strengthens your SOP, your GTE status. For people who don't know what GTE means, it means genuine temporary entrant. Usually this genuine temporary entrant, how do you prove to immigration that you're a genuine temporary entrant, is by writing this long statement of purpose stating why you want to come to Australia, why you're not studying in your own country, why you're not studying in the UK, why are you choosing Australia, why are you doing this course in Australia and yet it is in your home country, all those sorts of things. What they're trying to gauge is, are you coming to Australia to study and just gain access to the post-study work right visa for like 3 years if you're studying in Perth, or do you want to stay here permanently? For the record, if you want to stay in Australia permanently, that's not a bad thing. But usually they just want to figure out if you're a genuine temporary entrant. So by you starting to study online, you can include that on your GTE. You can, on your GTE statement that you're already studying virtually at Edith Cowan College or Edith Cowan University. So we really hope that if you've committed to online studies, that your visa will not rejected. If unfortunately it is rejected due to whatever reason, yes, you will be allowed to complete the units that you'll be studying during that trimester, or if you want to continue, especially at university level, if you want to continue, complete the course virtually, online, yes, you can. But we have every confidence in UNICEF as well. They do a really good job. Their visa rejection rate is actually, I don't know, close to 0 because so many of our students have gone through UNICEF and they've been quite successful, so you can have every confidence in them. Another question, will the fee reduced for February 2021? Okay, so be the fee for online studies. So if you start in July and you're studying online, Brian, correct me here if I'm wrong, you get 30% discount, right?
Yes, you get 30% discount. Then
yeah. And then when you continue in February, what happens?
You get a further 20% for February.
Yeah. Yeah, so for the online virtual studies in July, it's 30%. Continue with us in February, you get the normal 20%. If you're studying at Edith Cowan College, if you start with us in October, we have the 10% ECC Diploma Scholarship. Then if you continue with us in February, whether you come face-to-face or virtually, you'll get $2,000 off for that trimester. And then once you transfer to Edith Cowan University, as a Kenyan student, you'll be getting 20% off, apart and except nursing students. But yeah, I hope I've answered those questions. I can't see any other question. Okay, I can't see any other question, and I'm conscious of time. But what I want to tell everybody who's here, what I want to tell everybody who's here is there's no harm in giving it a go. If you're looking at starting in July, at ECU in July, there's no harm in giving it a go. And you'll continue with us face-to-face when the borders open. Sorry guys, that's my son. Any other questions? Brian, any comments?
Thank you very much, Irene. You and Wilson have pretty much covered most of the presentation and covered most of the things, even based on the questions. And unless there's anything, but for now, I'll just encourage the students to kindly just, based on the information you received today, kindly liaise with your student counselor at UNICEF for more information on your way forward. You're working with a very able team led by Alicia, so everything should be okay for you. In case of anything, you can always If you have any further questions in regards to the institution, you can tell your counselor to link you up with either me or Irene or Wilson, and we'll also be happy to help. But for now, based on the information that you have in regards to online learning and everything, just reach out to your counselor if you need to make any decision. Just let them know. And yes. And something else I would also wanted you to know that at the moment, we are having sessions with some of our lecturers. So if you want to maybe study, if maybe you're studying engineering, or maybe you're studying business or nursing, and you may want to talk to one of our lecturers based on, just to ask about the course and how the online experience is going to be, you can channel that request for the ones who are coming to the university. You can channel that request through your respective counselor, who will put it through to me, and I will organize a Zoom session for that as well. So in the Zoom session will be you, your counselor, the lecturer, and me as well. Then you can ask all the questions you want. For now, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay.
I think over to you, Alicia.
Okay, just one last comment before you take over, before you conclude, Alicia. Some of you may be wondering, how is the COVID situation in Perth, Western Australia? Right now, it's all really good. I think all the restrictions have been lifted in Perth, Western Australia. Our Premier is very happy with the way people have behaved in terms of the social distancing rules and everything. So basically we are able to go out and do what needs to be done. So for students who may be having parents who are worried, like, oh, what about COVID? Is it like the US? Is it like, I don't know, Europe and stuff? To be honest, again, Australia has done very well in this space. Yes, right now you may be hearing some headlines about Melbourne, but even with Melbourne, we're just looking at cases like 129, per day and stuff like that, and they're working very hard to bring it under control. But again, this is something I want you to Google. I want you to be able to do research about Perth, Western Australia, and you can even type in the COVID situation in Perth, and you'll be surprised what you'll find there. At least you'll get an update. At the end of the day, this too shall pass. Please don't waste time. Start with us online, and then you'll continue with us face to face. And hopefully we'll one day have coffee on campus. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks guys. Thanks so much for hosting this. If any of the students do think of any questions later, we have a really great relationship with Brian and Irene, so we can always put you back in touch. But obviously, your counselors are very competent as well, and they should be able to give you all the advice that you need. Like I said, this will be available, so we'll email you all a link. But thanks again, Brian and Irene, for taking the time out. Hang on, I've just got another question. Regarding the COVID situation, after the students get a visa and travel to Perth, will they be required to pay for quarantine, or will the school cover that?
Great question, Angela. Trust me, those are the things that are being worked out right now. Okay, the government, there's a lot of lobbying with the higher education sector. By higher education, I mean universities, ECU included, are working with the government to figure out how best to handle international students once the borders open, how the quarantine will be done, where it will be done, who's gonna be paying for it. And as soon as that information becomes clear, this is something that we'll also be communicating to you through to UNICEF, and you'll be able to pass it on to the students.